Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Mr. Irwin. We are going to continue our study with ratios. And today you see it on the screen, a very specific type of ratio. We call it a rate. So please grab a sheet of paper, work along with me as we talk about this topic. First off, a definition. Rate, it is a ratio that compares quantities measured in different units. So if you think about gas mileage in a car, if a car travels 120 miles on 4 gallons of gas, then the rate of that car is 120 miles to 4 gallons of gas. So we have a ratio 120 to 4. It is comparing two numbers, and those values are measured in different units. The 120 is measured in miles, the 4 is measured in gallons. So because they are measured with different units, that ratio gets a special name. We call it a rate. The rate of this car's gas mileage is 120 miles to 4 gallons. Now, once you know the rate of a situation, you can calculate the most useful of all rates, called the unit rate. And the unit rate is simply the rate for one of a quantity. Essentially, it means take the rate and reduce it until you are comparing to one of the second value in the ratio. So back to our car example. If a car travels 120 miles on 4 gallons of gas, we know that the rate is 120 miles to 4 gallons. Now, to make this a unit rate, we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. Essentially, we want to create a new ratio where the bottom number or the second number in that ratio is a 1. So in this case, we want to go from 4 gallons to 1 gallon. Now, multiplicatively, what can I do to 4 to reduce it down to 1? Using only multiplication or division, my only option is to divide by 4, because 4 gallons divided by 4 would get me 1 gallon. Now, to keep my rates equivalent, because I divided the bottom by 4, I need to do the same thing to the top. So we're going to divide 120 miles by 4. And if you need to use a calculator, that's fine. Go ahead and grab one. But 120 divided by 4 should give me 30, and in this case, we're talking miles. So I had the rate 120 miles to 4 gallons. I made it a unit rate by simplifying it to compare to one of something. In this case, it worked out to 30 miles to 1 gallon. This is the unit rate. And we would say the unit rate of this car is 30 miles per gallon. All right, let's take a look at our first example. A car drives 480 miles in 12 hours. Find the unit rate in miles per hour. So hopefully you have a sheet of paper. Let's set this up. Our first step is to find the rate. And usually they give you a clue in the problem as to what order they want numbers in. In this case, they want miles per hour. So we're listing miles first in our rate. The miles listed are 480. So I'm going to put 480 miles as the first value in my ratio or rate. Please make sure you label it. If you get in the habit of labeling these numbers, things we do in the future as far as problem solving with ratios and rates and proportions are going to be so much easier for you. So get in the habit now, label all these numbers. So 480 miles, we're looking per, that's essentially my line or my ratio mark, and then hour. How many hours did they travel? Here we have 12 hours. So the bottom of my rate or ratio will be 12 hours. So the rate of this car is 480 miles to 12 hours. Our goal is to make a unit rate. So I'm going to get a rate beside it, and we're in a unit rate, we are always comparing to one of something. So in this case, I want to go from 12 hours all the way down to 1 hour. So to do that multiplicatively, I'm going to divide by 12 because I know that 12 divided by 12 is 1. I'm going to do the same thing to the top of my rate, 480 divided by 12. 480 divided by 12, use a calculator if you need to. You should get 40, so I get 40 miles to 1 hour. So we would say the unit rate of this car is 40 miles per hour. That means every hour that the car drives at this rate, they will cover a distance of 40 miles. All right, our next example, please work through it with me. A package of 8 paper towel rolls costs $4.48. Find the unit rate of price per roll. And right there it gives us the order it wants this rate in, price per roll. We know the price of these paper towels is $4.48. So we're going to list that as the beginning of our rate, and we're comparing it to the number of rolls we get. For $4.48, we get 8 paper towel rolls. So 8 rolls. Again, get in the habit of labeling your values, your quantities, and your rates. $4.48 to 8 rolls. We're finding the unit rate, so I'm setting it equal to another rate. Do you remember what makes a rate a unit rate? We want to have a comparison to 1. So I want 1 on the bottom. And if you see the bottom of my rate, we're comparing to rolls. So this is going to be 1 roll. Now mathematically, to go from 8 to 1, we're going to have to divide by 8, because 8 divided by 8 gives me 1 roll. We're going to continue the same thing to the top to keep these equivalent. So we are calculating $4.48 divided by 8. Grab your calculator for that. And you should get a value of 0.56. Don't forget your labels. We're talking money, so this is actually 56 cents. And then your last thing, write this as a unit rate. You would say, paper towels, you are paying 56 cents per roll. All right, our final example. Jared reads 36 pages in 24 minutes. How many pages per minute does Jared read? Let's go ahead and set up our initial rate. Pages first. We know he reads 36 pages. 36 pages. Comparing that to how long it took him, 24 minutes. So our rate, 36 pages is 24 minutes. Let's convert that to a unit rate. To make it a unit rate, I need to compare to 1. And in this case, on the bottom, it's going to be 1 minute. How do I go from 24 to 1? We divide by 24. We're going to do the same thing to the top. 36 pages divided by 24. Grab that calculator if you need it. 36 divided by 24 gives us 1.5. Don't forget to label pages. So our unit rate, Jared is reading at a rate of 1.5 pages per minute. Okay, finally, I have 2 more scenarios on the screen for you. I want you to go ahead, set up a rate for each, calculate the unit rate of both scenarios. Pause the video to complete those, and when you have both unit rates, come back, hit play, and check to see how you did. Well, hopefully you gave yourself enough time to complete both of these. Let's go over them together. Number 1 is asking us to calculate the calories per cookie, and there's the rate they want, the order, calories per cookie, if a serving of 3 cookies has 225 calories. Calories is listed first in the rate, so the 225 calories will be listed as the first value in our rate. We are comparing that per cookie, and I see we have 3 cookies up here. So the initial rate of this scenario, 225 calories to 3 cookies. We want a unit rate, so we are comparing to 1, in this case 1 cookie. To go from 3 to 1, we are dividing by 3. Let's do the same thing up top. Calculator if you need it. 225 divided by 3 gives you 75. Don't forget to label calories. You see your unit rate, 75 calories to 1 cookie, writing it as a unit rate, 75 calories per cookie. All right, last one. Calculate the points per game, and there is your rate, points per game, of a basketball player who scored 102 points over the course of 6 games. The rate wants points first. I can see here he scored 102 points. So on top of our ratio, 102 points. Comparing that to number of games he's played, that was over the course of 6 games. So 6 games would be the second value or the bottom of our ratio. Now let's make it a unit rate, getting 6 games down to 1 game. To go from 6 to 1 requires us to divide by 6. We're going to do the same thing up top. Calculator, if you need it, 102 divided by 6 gives us a final answer of 17. In this case, 17 points. As a unit rate, we would say this basketball player is scoring at a rate of 17 points per game. Boys and girls, please make sure you complete the independent practice assignment associated with unit rates. Take a picture of your work and upload that file for submission. See you guys next time.